Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive into something called superblocks.
Superblocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Um, we've been talking about, kind of the challenges of city living.
yeah.
And, one of the things that you shared with me is this idea about superblocks as maybe a potential solution.
Right, right, yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and I think, a lot of us can relate to the feeling of,
I think so.
we love the energy of cities,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it
I
feels like
it
it's
it can be a bit much.
a bit much.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's
for sure.
almost like the city was designed for
Yeah,
cars and not for
yeah.
people.
Absolutely. I mean, I
Yeah.
think a lot of urban design has prioritized cars for a long time.
Yeah.
And now people are starting to realize that
Right.
maybe there's a better way.
Yeah.
And I think that's where these super blocks are coming in.
So can you give me like the basic definition of what a super block is?
Sure. So basically a super block is a neighborhood that is redesigned to prioritize people over cars.
Okay.
So what they do is they limit through traffic in residential areas
Okay.
and reclaim that road space for pedestrians, for cyclists, for green spaces.
I see. So is it kind of like reimagining what the streetscape could look like?
Exactly. Imagine instead of streets lined with parked cars,
Yeah.
you have streets lined with trees.
Okay.
And instead of kids being, cooped up inside, they're out playing in the streets because it's safe.
I see. I see. So it really is about making that space more livable and
Yes.
more usable for
More human.
human.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, is there like a city that's done this really well that we could look at?
Yeah, Barcelona is a great example.
Okay.
They've actually seen a 25% reduction in traffic-related deaths since they started implementing superblocks.
Oh, well. So it's not just about kind of the beauty of it, but it's about safety too.
Right, exactly. Safety,
Yeah.
health, less traffic means less pollution, less noise.
Right.
People are getting more exercise because they're walking and cycling more.
So it's really promoting like a healthier lifestyle almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And a sense of community too,
Right.
When people feel safe and comfortable being out in public spaces,
Uh-huh.
they're more likely to interact with each other.
Right.
You might have more cafes, shops, community gardens popping up in these areas.
Yeah.
It really creates a more vibrant and engaging city life.
So if we're limiting car traffic in these areas, I mean, I can already hear people saying like, well, what about people who rely on cars? What about people who can't afford to live within walking distance of everything?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's something that city planners really need to take into consideration.
Okay.
It's not about banning cars altogether.
Right.
It's about finding a balance.
Yeah.
So, some super blocks incorporate things like designated delivery zones, ride-sharing hubs, improved public transportation to make sure that people who do need to use cars can still access these areas.
So it sounds like there's a lot of kind of careful planning and
Yeah.
thinking about how all these different elements
Yeah.
are going to fit together. Okay. Well, I know we were talking about Europe being kind of ahead of the game in a lot of these.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Are we starting to see any movement?
Yeah, I think it's starting to catch on in the U.S. as well.
Okay.
Although it's definitely still a growing trend.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that studies have shown that people who live in superblocks
Mm.
actually drive less overall,
Mhm.
even those who own cars. Because
Really?
when you have safe, attractive alternatives, you're less reliant on a car.
So it's not about taking something away, but almost giving people a better option.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, do you think this model could work everywhere, like in cities that were really designed around the car, like a lot of American cities?
I think it's about adaptation. Maybe you can't completely eliminate cars in some areas.
Right. But you can prioritize green corridors along major roads,
Okay.
create pedestrian-only zones in key commercial areas.
I see. I see. So it's about kind of taking the principles
Yeah,
and figuring out how to apply them in a way that's going to
Yeah.
work for that specific city.
right, exactly.
Okay. So it sounds like it's less about saying this is the solution and more about just opening up the conversation and being like,
Yeah.
hey, this is something we could think about.
Yeah, and asking ourselves, what kind of city do we want to live in?
Right.
What do we prioritize? What's our vision for a thriving urban space?
Yeah. I mean, I love that question. If you could redesign your city, what would you prioritize?
Yeah, that's something for everyone to think about.
Yeah, that's great.
What would you change to make it more livable?
Well, that's certainly something to think about and something that I'm definitely going to be thinking about after this deep dive. I feel like it's really opened up my eyes to some new possibilities. So Thanks for sharing this with me.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.